Ladies and gents, boys and girls, happy Thursday, January the 5th, 2023. Hope you are all doing well. Chris Phillips here, the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate you all tuning in. I see Panic Ritter, Gad, Cocky Twan, Travi, C. Youngblood, Jeremy Wardell, Hunter Kelly, Hudson, Travis Allen, Steve Boyle Jr., Todd Smith. What's going on? Appreciate you all tuning in. Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord and the TDC Questions channel, appreciate you all. Be sure to leave your questions there so your questions are answered. Again, we got a lot to get into here on this Thursday. Very exciting stuff. Appreciate JC Sherbert and Phil Mullinax over at Inside the Gamecocks for having me on their show. 1:15. JC Sherbert on at 1:15. And guys, of course, excuse me, there's a lot to get into here on this Thursday. I apologize. Just hit me for a second. Either way, again, 843-790-3377, 743-790-3377. Again, we have got a lot to get into here on this Thursday. Really excited. Of course, as always, guys, TDC brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. When you do, use the promo code TSUS at sign up to receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Guys, you can play anything and everything, college sports, pro sports. They have got it all at prizepicks.com. So many fans and listeners of the show have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks, and you should as well. So again, go download the app or go to prizepicks.com. When you do, use that promo code TSUS to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Be sure to check them out, guys, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. And again, we are taking your questions, your comments, your calls. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Sports Talk just tweeted, according to JC Sherbert of the Big Spur, he has been told that Gamecocks defensive end Jordan Burch has informed the staff he will not return for the 2023 season. Burch will be the third defensive end with eligibility to leave the program following Hot Rod Fitton and Gilbert Edmonds. So again, guys, we are having JC on at 1:15. He will confirm or deny said report, but it does sound like JC, or excuse me, not JC. It does sound like Jordan Burch will not be a part of the Gamecocks football program in the 2023 season. So your thoughts on that? The transfer portal giveth, the transfer portal taketh away. And John Edward, no, it is not to go to the NFL. Most rumors state that he will be going to Oregon. Austin Greer says maybe TSUS was right about Burch all along. What did I say about I mean, Austin, I don't know that I really question his commitment to Carolina. I just question his production. And I will say this, Austin, that I gave Burch a lot of credit after this season. Gave Burch a lot of credit after this season in regards to, I mean, I thought he had a solid year. I thought he had a solid year. I don't think he had a great year, but solid. His best year by far. Oh, calling him a bust. I'll just say this. He hits the portal. I'm not going to use it as an opportunity to dance on his grave, obviously, but realistically, when you have the conversation of you look at his recruiting ranking and how he was rated, and if he does indeed depart and that's it for him at South Carolina, I think when you look at his production versus his hype, I won't say you're unreasonable for having that opinion about him. I'll just say that. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. We'll see. Again, JC Sherbert at 1:15. Guys, hey, we're taking your questions, your comments, your calls in the meantime. 843-790-3377. Austin Greer says, bro has 4.5 sacks. Ken Law had more as a nose guard. Yeah, great point. Great point indeed, guys. Great point indeed. Anyways, pretty crazy stuff. Wild. Panic Ritter says he's a traitor. Coach Ford says, trust in Beamer, Kingston, and Pierce. There you go, Coach Ford. Atta baby. Yep, that's it. So, guys, quick reminder, podcast, of course, dropped this morning, episode 748 of the show. Full thoughts on the Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells saga, which way they are leaning, what's happening in regards to that. You got a beautiful day, by the way, in the upstate. Really, truly. Anyways, full conversation on that. Full breakdown of the game against Vanderbilt on Tuesday night. And then this weekend, we look ahead to the Tennessee game. Court Cox return to action against CLA. Coach Ford says that wraps up another TSUS. Coach Ford, do you? I know you're poking and prodding today because you certainly do not label me as someone that blindly just says trust the head coach. I literally had fired Kingston merch last year, so I I mean, I know you're just having some fun today, but because that's the furthest thing. You're doing something right. You know that you're doing something right when over the years I've had people say that I'm negative, I'm pessimistic, I'm toxic. And then after year one of Beamer, right, when it was very much topsy turvy, but I'll have people say that I'm overly positive, I blindly support, I'm not critical enough, and it's like that's how you know you're doing something right when you got both sides, when you get it coming from both angles. So, Coach Forge, is not you just saying that is where our conversations always end up. I mean, I at the end of the day, I would just say this, Coach Ford. We're going to be critical. I'm going to be critical of Shane Beamer when it's necessary. But what other choice do you have, Coach Ford? I guess that would be my question to you. Because you can't just fire coaches at every turn, right? And certainly I'm not saying you're implying they do that, but like what because you have to think with the Burch thing, like if they wanted to keep him in town, I feel like they could. And so if they don't want to, what does that say? You don't think Shane Beamer has any control over it at all? I mean, you do have to trust him. He's your head football coach. I mean, if you can't trust your head football coach, he shouldn't be in that position in the first place. If you can't trust your head coach, they shouldn't be in that position, at 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 position. You don't have a choice. Whoa. Okay, I guess we're going with the FaceTime camera today because something is wrong with this Logitech camera. I don't know. I think it's time to update the camera. So, anyways, I don't know what happened there. I was trying to play around with the camera. This camera right here, it has done really well for us, and I appreciate my guy. Phil for donating this camera to the show. But I don't know, man. It's giving me some trouble. So it might be time to upgrade. Either way, we are back. Yeah, we got the sun peeking through the window over here. Anyways, guys, taking your questions, comments, calls. I apologize for the technical issues. I have no idea what's going on. In the meantime, I might try to play around and get the camera fixed. I don't know, though. It's just something. You thought I hit the portal too. No, I have not hit the portal quite yet. Anyways, guys, would love to hear from you. I was going on a rant, I think, about Shane Beamer or whatever. But yeah, Will Croson, the baseball content will kick off January the 16th, that Monday. We'll start talking, we'll start breaking down position unit previews, stuff like that. So going to be a lot of fun. January the 16th is when you can expect that. We'll start with starting pitchers. We'll talk relievers, go around the diamond. And that'll also start our month until first pitch countdown, if you will. So going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from better. To accept, press 1.
You know that baseball season is close when Skyland hits the phone line. Skyland, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
You just heard about Jordan Burch?
Yes. Actually, on 3, just 31 seconds ago, just tweeted that Jordan Burch has entered the transfer portal. So,
yeah. If my source is right, who knows if he's right or not? What I heard,
Skyland, you're cutting in and out on us a little bit, my guy. I'm not sure if it's your service or if it's me, but try that last sentence again, my guy.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so amongst the 3, the football players, they win a total of $5 million.
$5 million.
And you, well, not each, but amongst the 3, it equaled out to $5 million.
Okay.
But they're saying Juice Wells is dirt poor, and that he needs, for him to stay at Carolina, he needs at least $300,000 because his family ain't got no money, and he's dirt poor, and the living situations is not good. That's what they say.
Right.
Anyway, I'm not really worried about football right now.
Yeah.
I'm actually pleased to say I'm excited for this baseball season.
Yeah, now I've been seeing you guys on Facebook throwing up the player breakdowns or whatever. So I'm also very pumped, man. I'll start breaking everything down on my end. Starting Monday, January the 16th is when I'll start my position unit preview series, and the 18th, I think, is 31 days or a month till opening day. So we'll start the countdown that week, man. So we're really close. We're really, really close. I'm looking forward to it.
A lot of people are shocked about the Wimmer and Braswell situation, but they don't understand that, Wimmer was, projected a high top 5 round draft pick last year, but he didn't get picked to the 18th round.
Yeah.
And that was to the fact where he didn't play shortstop, or hasn't shown that he can play shortstop. And that's the only reason why he came back to South Carolina, or he was going to transfer to a place that he could play shortstop.
Right.
And
yeah.
Keaton felt like he couldn't lose that bat in the lineup, so he had to go. He had to move Wimmer to short and Braswell at third, which Wimmer's been really good at short in the fall.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think those of us that follow the program closely, we knew that was very likely, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you think of how strong Braswell's arm is too. I think it makes a ton of sense that he'll be playing third, and then short makes sense as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, Braswell probably not gonna get no pitching time either this year since we're so deep on pitching.
Yeah, well, I would hope not, my guy. I feel like that was more so by necessity than it was. I mean, he did a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I would prefer he not have to take the bump.
Right. I know a lot of people are shocked about the catcher situation. You know, like Lee Croy's going to start. You know, he could be your number one catcher.
Yeah.
Him and Messina are going to split time.
Mm-hmm.
And on Frenchie back there, they say he's the worst. He's the worst catcher on the roster.
Who is?
Jonathan French.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, he's like your number 4.
Wow. Well,
a lot of people expected him to be the number 1 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely excited about baseball. I think this is the year we're going to make some noise. Pitching's going to carry us. Hopefully, with Monty Lee in there, and, you know, his hitting approach, maybe we hit the ball better.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, even if we don't hit the ball better, you know, because Keats' downfall has been hitting since he's been at Carolina. I do think pitching will carry you to a regional, and outside of that, you're going to have to hit and pitch and play defense to carry you into the Super. So, how do you feel about the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'll as we get closer to the season, I'll break it down more so in depth, obviously. But you know, I agree with you. It's all about the bats. I think we've got the arms to make a push. I really do. I mean, I think if we can hit 270 as a team, right, we're a legitimate threat to maybe even go to Omaha. But it's all about how we swing it, man. I mean, I got to be honest. I got to sit down and, you know, this is such a new look roster, right? I think we had 5 guys in D1 baseball's top 100 transfers. So I got to take a moment to sit down, look at the roster, and I'm gonna actually try to catch a scrimmage or two. Once they release the scrimmage schedule, I'm gonna try to catch a scrimmage or two before the season just to get a couple looks at the guys. But I think we all agree pitching's going to be elite. Pitching's going to be, you know, up there with the best in the SEC, and it just all comes down to can we swing it. But we better make a big jump from last year, because if we don't, Mark Kingston won't be here. Won't be here after this season.
I heard that at the end of the year, you know, they had their end of the year meetings last year, that it was supers or nothing for Kingston.
You said,
but I've heard nothing.
You heard what now?
Yes, supers are nothing for Kingston.
Yeah.
Meaning, even if he makes a regional and he doesn't get to the supers, he's gone. That's the last I heard. And does that still stand? I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's exactly where I fall on it too. So
I do know that a former player, you might have talked to him. He used to be a pitcher, but now he pitches for the Cubs and he plays in Gatlinburg. If you could put the pieces together, he was originally committed to Lee. I mean, he was originally committed to Jack Leggett at Clemson.
Right.
Well, when Monty Lee took over at Clemson, he hated Monty Lee. So he came to South Carolina. Now he's my main baseball guy, because he's got all the information in the locker room and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
well, I know who you're talking about. That's interesting though. You don't find many guys that dislike Monty Lee. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he told you the same story, but he did not like Monty Lee at all. So he decommitted to Clemson and came to South Carolina. And he has told me that he has heard nothing but positive and grateful remarks about the Monty Lee hire. And he thinks it's going to really work out down there with him.
Yeah.
So, but I think the bats, I'm going to give you my projection. If the bats can swing and we can hit the fastball and, you know, hit the ball where it's pitched, because a lot of the times I think we struggle with is we can't hit the slow pitchers, but we can go out here and hit the 98s, 99s, the 97s. We can go out there and kill them and compete with them, but when we get in the weekday games and we can't hit the 88s, 89s, 90s, I think we got to be able to, you know, adjust, hit the ball, especially work on hitting the fastball, laying off the nasty stuff in the dirt, If you get back 270 or higher, I think this will be the most winningest season, even if that's the word, that Mark Kingston's ever had in his career. It could be a 40-plus win season at Carolina if they get swing the bat.
Yeah, I'd agree. It all comes down to hitting, my guy. All comes down to hitting. Skyline, I'm going to get – yeah, go ahead.
My bad. You got to think, one last thing on the mound, you got Will Sanders going to start you off Friday, Noah Hull Saturday, and Jack Mahoney Sunday. Them guys, 3 guys right now can get you 6+ every night. Keep the bullpen fresh.
Yeah.
Keep the bullpen fresh.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait, man. I know obviously you're a baseball guy. I'm a baseball guy. I'm counting down the days to first pitch, and especially with how this basketball season's going, we need something else to watch. I mean,
well,
yeah.
I kind of knew that was going to happen. All them guys transferred.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not on the Fire Lamont Paris train yet because he lost what, 5 to 7 players.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's literally year one. Anybody who's on the Fire Lamont Paris train right now is a complete slapdick. So at least give it a few years. At least give it a few years.
Are you still on the Fire Kingston train? Or are you trying to?
I mean, listen, I'm not. I have my skepticisms and doubts of Kingston. I'm not going into the season with that energy of, hey, go Cox. It's opening weekend. Fire Kingston. Like I want Kingston to prove me wrong, bro. I love counter baseball. You know what I mean? This isn't one of those situations where it's like, Will Muschamp was a grade A slapdick, and I knew that going into 2020. Like, you bring in Monty Lee, I will give Mark Kingston credit where it's due. He didn't just sit on his hands and say, well, we'll just keep trying and we'll see if it works out next year. He went and got Monty Lee. They switched up the entire staff. They added tons of dudes in the portal, and you just hope and pray that works out. And I'd love Kingston to be here another 10 years, my guy, because it means we won. I just want Gamecock baseball to get back to what we know it to be. And if it doesn't, there's no gray area. It either does or it doesn't.
Right. Well, this is the year that Gamecock baseball will be fun for everybody. We're going to have a winning season, and we will make the postseason.
Skyline has spoken. Skyline, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to get you out of here because we're going to jump into a break so I can get this Jordan Burch news out there. But I appreciate you, my man.
All right, later.
Yeah, man. Take care. Great stuff, my friend Skyline. Guys, we are going to go ahead and jump into an early break because I want to get this graphic out. In case you missed it, Jordan Burch has hit the transfer portal. Would love to hear your thoughts on that and much more. Questions, comments, calls, and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. Give me just a second, by the way, as we center this. Okay. As you see, we got the camera working once again. Appreciate you guys' patience. Had to unplug, replug, all that good stuff. Technology is great until it isn't. But either way, guys, we are taking your questions, your comments, your calls. We got JC Sherbert on at 1:15. And the latest big news today, Jordan Burch has officially entered the transfer portal. In 3 seasons at South Carolina, he totaled 105 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, and 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You guys want to call in, you want to vent, you're more than welcome to do that. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. And I will just say, and I just tweeted this, it makes a lot of the backlash that I got in the preseason in regards to talking about, I had my thoughts on Jordan Burch and just what he had done at South Carolina and his production or lack thereof. And, I didn't call him a bust. All I said was he was creeping up towards bust territory. I didn't call him a bust. But I got a lot of backlash and a lot of heat from people that, they treat they treat these players as gods, and so be it. If you want to do that, you can fall into that slapdick community if you like. But I just had real, honest criticisms and wanted to apply pressure. And as I've said before, I'll never apologize for applying pressure. Right? I'll never apologize for that. And by the way, to Jordan Burch's credit, I thought he had a solid year. Not great, but solid. But when you talk about where this kid was rated in regards to his recruiting profile, second highest rated player you've ever signed, only behind Jadeveon Clowney, who is the greatest recruit ever. 1.00000. That's his composite. You can't be rated higher than that. So Jordan Burch, the second highest rated signee of all time, 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. It's a shame. You wish him well. Hope he finds what he's looking for, but bust. Bust is a good word for it. Yeah. And if that hurts your feelings, so be it. But when you look at recruiting ranking, expectations, and you look at performance, and you look at statistics, that's the definition of a bust. So, is what it is. Again, hope he finds what he's looking for, and so be it. So be it. So, one less Muschamp guy to carry into 2023. Anyways, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let the slapdicks unite. Coming into my mentions for that. Looks like, by the way, guys, Gamecock baseball equipment just posted on Instagram. It looks like we are getting a camo baseball hat. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but it looks like we are getting a camo baseball hat. Really, really exciting stuff. I can't wait, dude. Can't wait for baseball season. All right, let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Will from Dirty Myrtle.
Will, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
It's just, man, this player movement is ruining college football now. And it's Jordan Burch, you know, the numbers are the numbers, but it looked like to me he was probably our best defensive player on the field against Notre Dame. And he definitely came into his own this year a lot more as the year went on, and looked like he could have been a real big impact player for us next year. So it definitely is a loss that's going to hurt just because we don't have the depth. But if it's NIL money, I mean, are these teams allowed to poach the players? Can they just call them up to a third party and say, "Hey, we're going to give you $500,000," and is that legal? I thought it was illegal to pay players from the college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think technically what you're saying is illegal, but I mean, do you really think people are entering the portal and leaving without a plan? And the only way to have a plan is to have previous conversations. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd respond to your question with this question. What's even legal and illegal anymore? Everything's legal now. And that's where the NCAA messed up. That's where they dropped the ball, is that once NIL was released with no regulations, it's just the wild, wild west, man. We're making up the rules as we go along.
And it's just it just feels like it's killing our momentum, because a lot of these players were guys you thought, Marshawn Lloyd, Burch, guys you thought were going to be back next year to contribute, and they're just bailing out. And it's like, you know, you can't help but start getting these feelings, these thoughts of, well, is Beamer, you know, is it Beamer? Is it the staff that's making them leave? Is it people offering them money? Like, why are we losing so many guys that are starters, contributors, not guys that are sitting on the bench just not playing? You understand, it's about getting playing time and being exposed. But when you're getting that and you're leaving still, it's like, you know, I thought we were at the height of, you know, I thought our program was big enough, the facilities, the conference, that we would not be getting left for another program that guy was succeeding in ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's happening. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know, man. Muschamp guys. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. I mean, there's multiple factors why guys will leave. It's not all about money, right? You have to think that.
Right.
So I don't know. And I think that, you know, I was talking to JC Sherbert about that this morning, and I wasn't able to touch on this topic, but you know what? I think that is what's most frustrating, is we just don't have clear-cut answers of why guys are dipping out. Like, for example, in the NFL, when a guy signs a contract, right? I mean, we know he's signing a contract. We know for how much. It makes sense, right? Why guys are signing deals. But like with this NIL and transfer portal stuff, like, you just don't know. I mean, we're getting statements from players of, like, you know, after talking with my family and God. Well, what did God tell you? Why did God tell you to leave, Gilbert Edmond?
Yeah.
Why did God tell you to leave, Marshawn Lloyd? What did God say? Like, yeah, I mean, and I'm not making a mockery of those statements, but it's just like, if we had hard, like, clear-cut reasons why guys were dipping out, I think it'd be a much easier pill to swallow. But when guys are just up and leaving and you have no clue, you know what I mean? Like, that's what frustrates me. Especially when these aren't guys that are playing 0 snaps and, you know, they're riding the bench. You're like, okay, right. I mean, this guy's obviously leaving to get some playing time. Makes sense. Glad he has that avenue to better his future. We're talking about guys that are starters that are just up and leaving.
Yeah.
They're just up and leaving.
That's what I'm saying.
And nobody's giving you any answers. The players, the coaches, nobody's giving you any answers. I wish a Shane Beamer could just come out and say, we signed a great recruiting class and we don't think he's all that good. We're cutting ties. I wish they would do that, but they never will. So we're just left in the dark. And when you leave fans in the dark, that's where the frustrations come out.
Yeah. And you know, Bell, I understood a little bit because I thought we underutilized Bell a lot, and I'm blaming that on stat, whether it's fair or not. I got it because Bell is a superstar in the right setting, and we just didn't give him that. But Lloyd got lots of opportunities. He was our star running back. Burch was our starter. You know, like, he didn't succeed until this year. So what the hell are you mad about? Like, you got to play, bro. You got to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. But on another note, is there anything coming out about Spencer, any kind of talk? Do you think he's coming back? I mean, to me, it seems like with the NIL money he's going to be getting, I think at best you're looking at a 5th or 7th round draft right now. So that's like no guaranteed money. It would be dumb not to come back, right? I mean,
well, you know, Brad Crawford had tweeted earlier in the week that apparently talking with NFL guys, the last couple of games could have boosted his draft stock, and he might be a 2nd or 3rd round guy. Now, I don't know. I think those conversations are still going on. Again, JC Sherbert at 115 is going to tell us everything in regards to what he's hearing on the matter. But I think it's just up in the air right now, man. I don't know. I mean, listen, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense for those guys to come back. I think there are a lot of reasons why.
But yeah, it's just frustrating, and I hate it because it's ruining college football, man. it's just putting a damper on a lot of things, you know, and putting different feelings in there you didn't have before with college. That's why it was great, because it wasn't pro, and it's like now it's like pro. I mean, there's no difference. I mean, except in pro you get fined and dock draft picks when you tamper, and in college it's just good old boy system where we don't really say shit.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'll jump off of here, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Will, I appreciate the call, man. Appreciate you bringing the heat as always. Great stuff. Let's see. Guys, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Got tons of questions rolling in. Our guy James in the Big Cock Club Discord says, Clowney literally had more sacks in one game than Burch had in his career, and multiple games with more sacks than Burch this entire season. There is no comparison. Indeed. Justin Langford says, when the Muschamp guys are gone within these next 2 years, and it's Beamer's guys on the field, it's going to be awesome. I'm ready to see it. Austin Greer says, I think we're all overlooking the fact that Rattler could hit the portal. How, Austin, would that make any sense? How would that benefit Spencer Rattler at all? I don't see that. I don't see that. Cody says, sucks to see so many of these players seemingly not believing in where we are heading like we do, but then again, the transfer portal is bloody that water. Yeah. All right, let's jump to the phone lines.
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
Robbie Davis, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just hanging out. What's up?
I'm going to talk a little bit about baseball for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that we struggled with last season, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, because if I am wrong, I want somebody to tell me. Mm-hmm. But one of the things we struggled with last season was capitalizing with runners on. Am I right or am I wrong?
We absolutely did. You're correct.
And if we don't do that, if we wind up doing the same thing we did last year, I don't know how much longer Kingston will be here. But if we can somehow get the bats going and get hot and stay hot, I think this baseball team can be very good. But the question is, how good can we be? I think the pitching will definitely be there. I think the fielding will definitely be there. But going into this season, the main question is, how are we going to do swinging the bats? Because there was a lot of games last season where we had the bases loaded and didn't do squat. We left ducks on the pond, and you can't do that in baseball. If you got runners on, no matter if they're at first or second or third, you've got to get them in and score and capitalize off of it. And if we don't do that, I think Kingston will be getting his pink slip and be told to don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
I would agree. I mean, Robbie, there's a reason why, for other sports, I give keys to the game or what have you. There's a reason why in baseball, when I create baseball content, I don't give keys to the game necessarily, because they're always the same. Great pitching,
right?
Great defense, timely hitting. So, yeah, to your point, timely hitting. The name of the game is timely hitting. It's not just about hitting, it's timely hitting, right? Are you able to hit with runners in scoring position?
Right.
So,
we're going to get hits. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get hits.
Hitting will be –
we got to capitalize when the moment's there.
Hitting will define the season. And, that's where we have struggled over the last couple of years. And if we can hit, and it may sound like a no-duh statement, but it just, if we can just even be average swinging the bats, we're going to have a pretty good team. Just be average. We don't have to be great. We don't have to be great.
With being average.
If we can swing it average, we've got the pitching to be a pretty damn good team. So, but that's the big question mark, and it has been the last couple of years. So,
and honestly, I don't remember a time where we had horrible pitching. Like whenever I started watching baseball on the regular basis, on like South Carolina baseball on a regular basis, I do not remember a time where we had horrible pitching. I honestly don't.
Yeah, we typically do have good pitching. Last year, obviously, I think injuries hurt us. The way you had to
Oh yeah, for sure.
had to shuffle everything around, but as long as we stay healthy on the bump, I think we got tons of arms. So all be about how we swing it.
And and also I'm switching to football here for a second. I have no ill will towards Jordan Burch. Best of luck to you at Oregon if that's where you wind up going. No ill will, but like you mentioned his stats, right? Like his stats are good, but they're not great. I mean, you said he averaged 4.5 sacks in his career?
He had 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons at South Carolina. Yeah.
That's pretty sad for you being a defensive end, in my opinion. That's pretty sad. If you are playing at an SEC school and as highly touted as he was, and you only average 4.5 sacks, something either you got into your own head and ate up your own hype and that backfired on you, or somebody didn't evaluate you correctly. And I'm not saying he was a horrible football player. Don't get me wrong. I thought he did pretty well this season. But the stats speak for themselves. The stats are there and they speak for themselves.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, it's it's for some reason it's frowned upon to, or people just get uncomfortable when you're critical of collegiate athletes, right? But I mean, that's what I do for a living, so I don't really give a damn. But I said it in the preseason.
Yeah.
I said it in the preseason. I mean, I'll never forget exactly where I was when I posted that clip and I recorded that clip. And I was actually down in Savannah with my Rippers. Shout out the Rippers down there. And I posted that clip about Jordan Burch. And again, I made the point that I wasn't calling him a bust. I was not. Not. I simply just said
you were
that
saying that he's approaching.
He was reaching bust territory, and that I wouldn't call him that because when you call somebody a bust, people take it very personally. They do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because bust it's such a dismissive term. It really is, right? When you label somebody a bust, like, bro, your whole career was a miss. Your whole career was an L. And so I'm trying to, upon seeing this news, not react emotionally, right? Not let my emotions get the best of me. And I do wish Jordan Burch the best because we have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. We have no clue. But again, if you think about what the definition of a bust is, and you look at his recruiting rating, his expectations, and his output, that's a bust, man. That's a bust. So it's and I say that also while I also gave him credit, like literally 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, that he had his best year in Garnet and Black. I thought he really came into his own. And I guess it's just unfortunate that he's not going to see it through into next year where he could have been our top edge player and really could have had his breakout season. And he's got to do what's best for him. That's great. But while he stands on business, we're going to stand on business. And business says he was a bust. So it's a shame. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And I'm not going to apologize for whose feelings I hurt saying that. He was a bust. That's it.
I'll say this. If you don't like full-blown 100% honesty, this is the wrong show for you.
I would agree.
Because if you want, I'm going to use one of your, if you like sunshine pumpers, you can go somewhere else, okay? That are going to pump sunshine up your keister, all right? you can find a different show, because that's, like I said, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. That's one of the reasons why I love your show. You don't beat around the bush. You don't sugarcoat it. You tell it like it is. And there's not too many people out there doing podcasts like this that are 100% honest with everything. And sometimes honesty and truth, sometimes truth hurts. Sometimes the truth hurts. And you got to learn, whenever somebody is telling you the truth or being honest with you, you got to either learn to accept it, understand it, or find some new friends.
Yeah, I mean, you never have to apologize, Robbie, when you keep it a buck. So it's just, people tell me all the time, Chris,
that is a fact.
Chris, don't ever change. I'm like, I couldn't. I am who I am. Again, I scratch my head when it itches. I dance when I hear music. I am myself forever and ever. Amen, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And I'm the same way, right? You already know I'm the same way. Like, if I make sure if someone does not like me, it's their fault, because I'm not going to give them a reason to badmouth me or hate me. So if someone tries to change you from who you are, then they're not your real friends. Your real friends love you and cherish you for who you are. That is a fact.
Yeah.
If you've got friends that are trying to change you, kick those friends to the curb. And like I said, after I got back from Florida, right, Beamer's cooking in the kitchen with recruiting right now. I think he's not close, but he's getting us to the point to where we're gonna turn some heads in the seasons to come, for sure. And I think that we will be okay. I'm not going to fret about it. I'm going to let Beamer do what he's getting paid to do, and that's build a winning program. If people leave, so be it. We got, like I've said before, also, like, we've got guys coming in that Beamer busted his butt in recruiting. So I'm not going to waste breath on or waste my time with stressing if somebody leaves. If somebody leaves, so be it. It is what it is. And to those people that are freaking out because people are leaving, you might as well accept it, because that's college football now. Mm-hmm. Either accept it or stop watching college football.
That's a fact. This is the new reality, Robbie. Well said. Very well said.
But I'm going to go ahead and get off here. You have a great rest of your day. Go Cox, and heck with Clemson. Bunch of farming losers. If I need groceries, I'll give you a call. If I need a lawyer, I'm getting somebody from you. Just saying.
I love that. Love that. Robbie, you're the man. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. Great stuff from Robbie Davis as always. Hey, great comment here. Let's get back to the questions. The TDC questions channel in the Big Cock Club Discord. Our friend Chase says, why are people acting so surprised about people leaving? It's a new era now. We've had the portal for 2 years. It's just now hitting its stride. We were warned about NIL coming, and now it's hitting its stride. Just got to be loyal to the school, because your favorite player is going to hop for a bigger bag. Zach Attack then follows up and says, one thing's for certain, I'm getting a Pup Howard jersey ASAP. I know he won't be leaving. Might even get an in memoriam jersey because he's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, guys, I'm not really in the business of like dancing on a kid's grave or, beating a dead horse, if you will. But Yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. The Jordan Burch thing's disappointing. It's but I'm also not going to overreact to we lost a guy that had 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. I mean, you're not. It's not like we just lost Jadeveon Clowney. We lost 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. That's who we lost. Realistically, that's who we lost. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And Shane Beamer's a petty SOB, man. Beamer don't give a damn, right? Because minutes after Jordan Burch announced, or it was announced Jordan Burch was entering the portal, Sterling Lucas this morning, of course, said, "Welcome home, my guys. The future is bright." And it was Desmond Umeozulu, Montek Rames, Pup Howard, and Maurice Brown II, right? So Sterling Lucas posts a picture with those gentlemen, those 4 guys. Shane Beamer quote tweets, it says, and Sterling Lucas says, "Welcome home, my guys. The future is bright for Gamecock football." Shane Beamer quote tweets it and just says, "Beyond," in all caps, "beyond bright." Hashtag above all else. Shane Beamer don't give a damn. Shane Beamer don't give a damn. So, if Shane Beamer's not concerned, then I guess you shouldn't be concerned. I don't know. Coach Ford, though, you're creeping very closely to Panic Ritter territory. You are. Coach Ford says, "So if Rattler dips out, we will start year 3 with an offense on the ropes and a defense on the ropes, looking at a couple seasons to rebuild." I mean, Coach Ford, I would just say this. Do you really feel like the return of Jordan Burch or departure was the difference between winning 6 games and 8 games? I mean, do you really feel like that all of a sudden now, all of a sudden we're not going to make a bowl game because we lost Jordan Burch? I mean, yeah, I think it's, I will say, I think the Jordan Burch thing, guys, I think especially you just have to deal with the fact that these Muschamp guys, fans talk about loyalty and having loyalty. And I think some of it's a little bit unrealistic because loyalty is just, I've mentioned many times that your favorite players don't love your school as much as you do. That's totally fine. But especially when it comes to these Muschamp guys, there is no sense of loyalty. Maybe some. I don't want to speak for all of them, but it shouldn't surprise you, And that is one of the challenges of a newer head coach. And I think we don't even give Beamer enough credit for, in that he took a roster full of players that are not his. They didn't come to South Carolina because of him. And I can assure you, not everyone on that roster was thrilled that Muschamp got fired or thrilled that he got the job, but he was able to take those players and get them to buy in enough for him to do what he's done. But when you see a Muschamp player hit the portal, not sure it should be much of a surprise.
To accept, press 1.
Nick, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing good, man. How about yourself, Chris?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking what's going on.
Not much. I was just calling about, you see all the comments with the Jordan Burch thing, and some people, say, let him go. If he's gone, he's gone. Some people are, been out of shape about it, but I agree with what you said. I don't think Jordan Burch coming back is the difference between 2 wins. What he done in 3 years, Kinlaw almost done in 2. And he had more sacks as a T-tackle than he had as a DN. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think, Beamer's he's going to hit the transfer portal like he always does, and I think he's going to replace people that don't have no loyalty with people that want a shot. And I think like you see Xavier McLeod and all those boys in the Under Armour game. Those are Beamer guys. You can see what kind of players Beamer's bringing in, and I still think we're probably 2 or 3 years away from actually being able to stand toe to toe with Georgia on a year in, year out basis with Beamer.
Yeah.
So I think people just need to cut their ties, let him go. It's a Muschamp guy. I can't wait to all of them get out here anyway because they ain't really made a damn difference anyway. So
Hey,
That's my 2 cents worth.
No, hey, I love it. Well said, my friend. Very well said.
I mean, it just I think Beamer's building a culture based on loyalty. I think all these guys coming in, I don't think you've seen nobody that Beamer's brought in yet transfer. I mean, if Rattler and Wells leave, they're not transferring; they're going to the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, so that should be something people look at too. Like, we're producing them to go to the NFL, so hopefully that'll bring some people in and play for Beamer as well. But I think he'll replace them with. I mean, we lost Jaheim Bell, who had 200 yards, and we replaced him with Trey Knox. I think we turned out pretty good on that end. So.
Yeah, indeed. I think it'll work out. Again, Shane Beamer, you have to believe he's the mastermind behind it all. And yeah, I do think, like you said, I do think as he gets further in his tenure and the roster becomes completely his. I mean, the transfer portal NIL is never going to go away, but I would like to think you will see this occurring less in regards to like starters hitting the transfer portal. I think you'll see that less. So.
I think so too, and I think as far as next year goes, I mean, if Rattler and Wells don't come back, I mean, I'm grateful for what they did this year. Like that we've done things this year with them that that we hadn't done in a long time, and being A&M, we never beat them. So them leaving to go to an NFL is not a betrayal thing. It's a thank you for what you did. You showed out and go get what you deserve now type thing for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, for people to think that we're just going to be totally garbage, I mean, for crying out loud, we had Marcus Satterfield and a graduate assistant quarterback and won 7 games. I mean, I think Luke Doty it's Luke Doty, Braden Davis, or Lenore Sellers. I think I would put Lenore Sellers number 2. I mean, I'm from right down here in Florence, and kids for real. So I think I honestly think Lenore could come in and back up Luke Doty year 1. I don't think they brought him in to put him at DB or wide receiver.
Right. I would certainly hope not.
But yeah, right. Well, I mean, I think we're still we're a bowl team. With Beamer as our head coach, we're a bowl team. So I just think like when you see Xavier McLeod, Umio Zulu, all those guys, by the time it's their turn to their junior year when they can go to the NFL, I think that's probably going to be the year you start seeing South Carolina be toe-to-toe with Georgia. I honestly think that.
Yeah, I love it. I think so as well. I mean, I think we're on the right path no matter what transfer portal here, NIL there. I believe in Beamer, and I think we're on the right path for sure. So, yeah, I would agree with you 110%.
Right. I got you. I appreciate you, Chris. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Love your show. Go Gamecock.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff and great insight. And, yeah, love the energy from the caller there. I want to read this comment here. Travis says, we aren't bashing Burch. However, we aren't begging either. Wish you well, but we have moves to make. On that note, Travis, let me say this. If it makes you cringe and it makes you uncomfortable to hear people like yours truly or others on the internet, if it makes you uncomfortable to hear people be critical of your favorite players or they're just kids, they're just college. These guys are making big boy money and they're making big boy decisions. And with that comes big boy criticism and big boy backlash. And, we are the days of, well, they're just kids. The days of feeling bad, they're gone. They're gone. They're gone. College football has become professionalized. In the NFL, when your favorite NFL team signs a guy, I mean, you see people say the worst things about him. You can call him a bum. It's a bad signing. This guy's a slapdick. He sucks. You can just rip him to shreds. But at the college level forever, it's been frowned upon to even have a slightly remotely critical opinion. So when it comes down, though, to a guy like Jordan Burch, again, that's no longer. I got nothing against the kid. I do genuinely wish him the best. I hope that he finds whatever he's looking for. But, hey, stand on business, make a big boy decision. You're going to make some big boy cash, but that means big boy criticism is going to follow. And you are a big boy bust, in my opinion. You came in with all the hype, the hoopla, the next Jadeveon Clowney, and now you leave in this manner, you're a bust. You're Jordan bust in my mind. It ain't nothing personal, but that's what the statistics say. 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. You're a bust. It's a shame that Jordan Burch, instead of coming back to South Carolina in 2023 and potentially cement
just thought I'd hop on quick questions about Jordan Burch and everything. Just
Yeah.
want to hear your opinion as well. You know, kid grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, local boy, you know, starter all 3 years of his career at USC. You know, you just mentioned, you know, he's looking for something else. Obviously, that's why he hit the portal. Maybe it's the NIL deal. Maybe that's why he's thinking about going to Oregon. You know, my question really is, does he think a 1-year NIL deal going to one of these other schools long term is going to pay more dividends, you know, than staying at SC and having that type of legacy where, you know, you grow up, you're surrounded by people that know you, that love you, and now kind of like a tarnished legacy where, you know, it's not like you're going to be coming back to the school and visiting and, you know, celebrating, you know, past wins with your teammates or anything like that. It just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make much sense to me, being that you're in a starting role, highly touted, highly recruited. You know, you have NFL potential. You're in the SEC. You're a hometown kid. What could be worth it for 1 year's worth of time long term to make that decision?
You bring up a great point, my friend, legacy. Why does legacy not matter anymore? Because here's what happens, right? Jordan Burch did not have a stellar career at South Carolina, but he was beloved, right? I think so. I think he was beloved by Gamecock fans. A local guy who was rated as a 5-star, could have went anywhere in the country, decided to stay home. For that alone, he was beloved, right? Even through the seasons of not necessarily meeting expectations, he was beloved by Gamecock Nation. You know, had his best year in Garnet and Black this year, and everyone was excited to see what he'd do next year. But again, you bring up that legacy point. And I think that's something that's getting lost. Guys chasing NIL, chasing the bag, hitting the portal. And you know what? If there's things going on behind closed doors where he felt like he needed to leave, so be it. And again, I've said it many times. I hope he finds what he's looking for. But you know what happens? You know what happens when you up and leave now? Let's say he goes to Oregon. Let's say he has a good year at Oregon. Is Oregon really going to embrace Jordan Burch? Like, is he going to be one of the Oregon Ducks legends for having one solid year there? Probably not, right? And now, guess what? Guess what? He can never come back to Carolina. There will always be this bad taste left in our mouths because of the exit. So now neither one of them embrace you. Now you don't have a legacy at all. And so I guess it's just a shame, like you mentioned, you're basically cutting your nose off, spite your face. And, you know, I know money's all that matters to a lot of these guys, and I get it. The almighty dollar, it's what makes the world go round. But it is a bit of a shame. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a shame to proactively, willingly tear down your legacy or any bit of legacy that you had. So, again, you just hope it works out for the kid, because I question the advice some of them are getting from outside sources. You hope it works out. You hope they find what they're looking for. But I know legacy doesn't pay the bills, but it's something you got to live with for the rest of your life, or live without. And I guess you got to make that decision if it's worth it to you.
Well, legacy does open up opportunities down the road, though, so it can essentially pay the bills. You mean, you look at Marcus Lattimore, you look at Connor Shaw, you know, people that didn't have NFL success, but they can come back, and if they wanted any type of job within the USC department, or if they're even any opportunity in the state of South Carolina, you know, somebody would call them up right away and give them whatever they want. So long term, outside of NFL, you know, that's NFL short lived. Maybe Jordan Burch doesn't even make it big in the NFL. You're tainting that legacy, and you're kind of ruining those relationships. Where if you would have just stuck on, you know, you're probably gonna be one of the captains on the team. People are gonna look up to you as a leader on the team. You're gonna have a great spotlight on you. If you just stuck on one more year, go pro. You can always come back home where you're from and have a great legacy behind you as well.
Yeah. Indeed. I think that's very well said, my friend. I think that's very well said. And again, it's nobody's wishing anything but, you know, the best for anybody that leaves South Carolina and hits the transfer portal. Yeah, I just, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And some guys are going to learn some really, really hard lessons. So.
Yeah, and I don't know his family situation at all. I'm not trying to say anything about that. I don't know if it's, that's something that's in need right now, is just a huge money grab to support his family while he takes another year in college before he goes pro. I know he's gotten some NIL deals with South Carolina. I've seen it, on social media, him doing things, but I really just wonder what was out there for him. Obviously there's some tampering going on. He doesn't just go into the transfer portal without necessarily knowing what's already available for him. So I'm curious to what he was offered as well.
Indeed. Hopefully that's something we get answers to those questions, my friend. Hopefully so. Hopefully so.
Yeah, man, but that's all I had on my end. Appreciate your time.
Brendan, I appreciate the call, man. Great stuff from you.
Take care.
Thanks, man. You too. Appreciate it. Great stuff. Guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into a break. Hey, on the other side, we got JC Sherbert. What a conversation this is set up to be. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. And JC Sherbert after the break. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back taking your questions, comments, calls. Of course, we are also waiting for JC Sherbert to join us on the airwaves. Going to go ahead and close up the phone lines, actually, on that note. Really excited to talk some ball with JC. We got a lot to get into, and appreciate him ahead of time taking the time to chat with us. Yeah, the big news today, guys. Jordan Burch hit the transfer portal, and I know. Listen, I know the portal's frustrating. I get it. I know it's frustrating. It's. I'll be honest with you guys because I keep things. I'm very transparent with you all and keep it a buck. It's and I've seen this Big Wash character commenting, and I respect and appreciate you commenting, Big Wash, and respect your opinion. It's I'll say it's not sour grapes, but it's hard not to be a little bit petty over it. I'll be honest with you. It's hard not to be a little bit petty over the fact that he's dipping out. So, anyways, all right, let's go ahead and get him on. He joins us every Thursday, and we are very happy to see him back, by the way, after the holiday season and into the new year. JC Sherbert of Inside the Gamecocks. And JC, I know you are a very busy man right now with all the news going on, the craziness. Hey, like I told you when I left your show, it never disappoints, right? There's never a day off when it comes to the Gamecocks. But JC, first thing I'll say is this. It's great to see you and hear from you, my friend, after going through some of the stuff you went through, I know, in the month of December. So really appreciate you taking the time. And most importantly, great to see you in good health, my friend. What's going on?
Oh yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate everybody reaching out and Gamecock Nation and even fans of other schools and friends and stuff. It's kind of a scary thing, but I think today was the first day I've really been back to like 100%. Had a great show earlier, thanks to you and some other folks that were on with us, and looking forward to getting back into my normal routine because there a lot has been going on for sure, including some breaking news here in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, JC, let's go ahead and dive into that because over the last hour or so, it was announced and came out publicly, and we heard this rumor for about a week or so, but Jordan Burch has officially entered the transfer portal. What can you tell us about that? Maybe what went into that decision? And it sounds like Oregon could potentially be his landing spot, but I know we had chatted about it a couple of days ago, and you felt confident that Burch might be back in Columbia, but of course now the news is official. Just your overall thoughts on the process that led to Burch, how surprised or not surprised you were, and again, just overall thoughts on the situation as a whole.
I had like a premonition, okay, and I didn't, sometimes you have thoughts, you keep it to yourself, or you kind of share them with your buddies because you're just, shooting the crap or whatever, and every time Burch was asked about it, because I thought, well, first of all, I was like, why aren't they asking Burch if he's coming back? I don't think the NFL is on the table, but he sounded like a guy considering declaring for the draft, right? And I was like, well, he's probably not a draftable guy. He doesn't have that much production. I mean, he's still got the upside. I think he's gotten gradually better. I think he had a really good year this year, actually.
JC, we got you back, my guy. I don't know why I can't hear you for some reason. Well, seems like we're losing some. Hold on. JC, I'm gonna kick you out. Rejoin with the link, my guy. We're having some. I think the Jordan Burch hackers are honestly giving us some trouble today. I'm gonna kick you and just rejoin from the link. I don't know what's going on with JC's audio, by the way, guys. I don't know what, dude. Technology's great until it isn't. We are having quite a time today with the audio. Anyways, we're gonna get JC. I think that was on his end. I don't think that was on our end. I don't know because he just cut out of nowhere. So. Yeah, no, that you lost me because I tried to refresh the page, but I don't think that's a me issue. I think that was a JC issue. I don't know. First one of 2023, got the audio bugging out on us. JC, what's going on? Can you hear me okay? JC, can you hear me? Check. There we go. Now I can hear you, I think. All right, now I lost you again. I'm for some reason we're losing your audio. I don't know what's going on. I can tell you got the new camera though, by the way. So JC can't hear me. I love it. I love it. You just cut in and out right there. We're like catching you in little spurts. I don't think it's me. Yeah, we're because I think the audience can hear me. I cannot hear you though. Yeah, everybody's saying no sound from JC. 2023 is off to a very hot start. a very hot start. Maybe I can I don't know. Maybe I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay? I guess is the question. So JC can hear me. We just cannot hear you. And it keeps the internet connection on your end for some reason keeps cutting in and out. I don't know what's going on. Morse code. I'm going to try to refresh this one. Let's see if we can get JC in here. I don't know. For some reason we just have no audio. We have no audio. JC, you got a new camera, didn't you? I'd be willing to bet it's the camera issues. I can't hear a word you're saying, but I'd be willing to bet you it's the camera issues because I have sometimes the same exact issues. So I don't know. Because I can see you fine. I just can't hear a word you're saying. I don't think a new link would do anything, to be honest with you. Let's see. I'm gonna mute you and unmute you. Let's see. Yeah, I got nothing audio wise. Here, I'm gonna try to kick you out again and have you rejoin. I'm gonna send you a new link. I'll send you a new link. Here we go. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I mean, worst case, he could just call my phone. Worst case. Let's see. I mean, worst case, he can call my phone. Anyways, we're going to make this work. The Hackers will not win today. We got plenty of time. The portal and NIL have destroyed college football, and now they got JC's audio. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. And I will say this, back to the point that Big Wash was making earlier. You know, again, maybe I am a little butthurt. Maybe I am a little butthurt, my guy, that Jordan Burch is dipping out. Maybe so. So many others are, my guy. I am far from the only one. So I'm a little irritated by it. We'll just put it that way. A little irritated by it. So I don't know what happened. We had JC's audio completely fine, and all of a sudden it just started bugging out. I can tell though that JC got a new camera. It looks like he did. And sometimes that actually bugs out your audio and your setup. So I don't know. We're going to try to get JC Sherbert back on. We're going to try to get JC Sherbert back on if we can battle through the technical issues. So let's try this again. JC.
I think I have it fixed.
I can hear you now. What's going on, my guy?
Totally new setup. Do have a webcam, but what I was doing.
Hold on. Now you're just like really scratchy on the audio.
No Okay.
Like
All
when you're
right,
talking,
hang on.
it's like a lot of static.
Let me just.
We're making progress. We're making
Let
progress.
me just ditch the mic.
Now I've got you there, JC? Can you hear me? I hear nothing on your end now. NIL and the transfer portal is. Oh, wait.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I got you. Okay. All right. Yes.
You got me good. All right. So now I just disconnected the microphone because was trying to connect. And sometimes with these apps, so I got a new mic because I was getting a lot of feedback on the other one. And it's kind of a simpler version. But on StreamYard yesterday on our show, it started cracking like that. But the problem to begin with was I messed up the settings. And so my new headset was trying to connect. There's no mic on the anyway. It's real confusing. But anyway, I'm glad to be back, man. Sorry about all that.
Hey, hot start to 2023, my guy. And you know what? Listen, if there's anybody that can understand, it's yours truly. When you get new equipment, sometimes all hell breaks loose. So technology is great until it isn't. But anyways, glad to have you back. Again, Jordan Burch, the whole saga, the whole situation. I'll let you take the floor, your thoughts on everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a touch and go situation. I think that it was about more things than just NIL money, based on what I've been told. You know, at the end of the day, I don't know that the financial situation at wherever he's going is going to be that much greater than South Carolina, maybe a little bit. I think that. There's just a lot out there. There's some talk that maybe he felt like he couldn't win he wanted to win a championship somewhere, that South Carolina's not going to be that good next year. Just all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, there was probably a strong desire for him to leave. Like I mentioned before maybe it was before my mic flipped off or whatever. I got a premonition about it because I felt like, just some of his public comments sounded like a guy that was going pro. And I didn't feel like he was ready to go pro. So I was like, this is one that could hit the portal. Also talked to a source at kind of another school, guess a couple of weeks ago that mentioned a lot of things, like a lot of players South Carolina was losing. And that was before a lot had left. And I still don't think it's a lot, but that was kind of a point of concern. And then when around the time Jaheim Bell left too, there was kind of some scuttlebutt behind the scenes about it outside of the program. It was all external though. And I think internally they're maybe caught off guard because I don't think he was communicating he was leaving with them and all that. But I think at the end of the day, South Carolina tried to convince him to stay. I think if you look back at his recruitment, it was one of those things where there were some anxious moments. A Muschamp and company got him. But I think sometimes nowadays, if you're young and you want to go, you've been someplace a while and you get a kind of an adventurous spirit and want to go someplace else, that's going to happen. As far as how it affects South Carolina, obviously they need to replace both starting edge players. Jordan Strawn returning next year certainly will help with that. But they got some work to do in the portal with development, with getting some guys ready to go, because that's a critical position on your defense. You really need four. Right now you got Strawn, and he was hurt last year, and beyond that it's a question mark. So I wrote an article on thebigspur.com today about like where would they go if Burch leaves, and there's a lot of options from sliding guys on what's a deep interior outside. To the two true freshmen that are in, Desmond Umeozulu and Montague Rames are both outstanding prospects. Because they're enrolling early, their chances of being ready to go by the opener and playing significant snaps are higher than maybe a kid that came in over the summer. But still, that's not something you want to necessarily count on. I think it's a shame in one way, because I think Burch, while he was a 5-star prospect and everybody in the country wanted him, he was a guy everybody, that knew him and were very familiar with how he played. They didn't feel like he was going to be a Clowney type where you just knew from the beginning. He played skis a ball. He had some development to do. And I thought, he had turned a corner this year. And now he's going to go start all over in another school. If it is Oregon, I got a text from an Oregon source. that said Oregon has no edge players right now. So if you combine that with sort of the word that Jordan wants to go someplace he can quote unquote win a championship, maybe that was the selling point that, or what he's been told about Oregon is, you're the missing piece of the puzzle or whatever. I have my doubts about that, but that's, if he goes all the way across the country, that's fine. I mean, you're only young once and you get to live in another part of the country, play different teams, all that good stuff. That's fine. But I think this is one of those things that, is probably jarring because he was such a big recruit. Marshawn Lloyd was such a big recruit. He's gone. Marshawn sort of happened out of nowhere. Jordan was somewhat of a surprise. Yeah, I think Jaheim Bell was not a surprise, but Gilbert Edmonds certainly was a surprise. So, yeah, and I've learned with this fan base that they do not like bad surprises. Anywhere from losing games they shouldn't, to losing recruits they thought they had, to guys leaving. So I understand the frustration about it, but I think at the end of the day, this is the reality of college football now. What I don't agree with, there are some of these folks that say, "Oh, well, we're just going to stop watching college football now because it's this, that, and the other." Look, man, you just came off of a season where the stadium was packed almost every home game. You won two of the biggest wins in the history of the program. You took 40,000 people to the Gator Bowl. Interest is not dying. I can assure you, I know you have your numbers, I have mine, I can assure you interest is not going away. But some people, I think, are kind of overreacting, want to jump off buildings. I mean, look, the portal and NIL could really hurt college football. Don't get me wrong. But this is the type of thing, Chris, that will erode over time. And I think for South Carolina and Shane Beamer, and this is true with any good coach, you don't sit around and cry about it. You turn it into an opportunity. You go upgrade, use it as a chance to get your team better, and maybe add a more proven player or something like that from the portal, or develop a young superstar quicker than maybe he was going to develop. So, long way to go between now and the opener against North Carolina, January 5th. So time is on the Gamecock side to sort of mitigate the losses they've suffered in the portal, which still aren't huge in number like some other schools. But I understand, because these are some significant players that, we all talk about all the time.
Yeah, JC, it's interesting with the Jordan Burch stuff. It's all business, right? But it's I find myself over the last hour plus or so, it's hard to remove all of the emotion and hard to not feel a little bit petty. I'll be honest with you, like, just about the entire situation. And, I almost on one hand feel bad for not just Burch, but a lot of these kids who I know that the bag is everything and money makes the world go round. I totally understand, man. And there's a lot of things behind closed doors that happen that we don't know about, why guys up and leave. And so I think that makes it tough too, JC, on fans. For, fans want answers. And when they're so left in the dark, when you feel like like you said, bad surprises, like the rug's just pulled out from under you and you have no explanation as to why, that's what really irks people. But it's like, does legacy mean anything anymore? You know what I mean? Like a guy like a Jordan Burch could have come back. Like you said, I was very critical of him in the preseason. I applied pressure. I thought, hey, he needs to start living up to all of this hype and hoopla he got on the recruiting trail. And I thought he had a much better year this year. I thought he had a solid year, right? It wasn't a All-American campaign, but it was a very solid year. He was an impact player for the Gamecocks defense. And to think that he could have come back, been one of those leaders on that defense, had his best year yet in Garnet and Black. I think Gamecock Nation was 110% behind this guy, local kid. And now he leaves all that to go to Oregon, in a place where, like you mentioned, JC, he might get a ring. He might have a solid year. But is Oregon going to embrace him as one of their own 10 years from now? Probably not. And so now is South Carolina going to embrace him in that way? Probably not. Like, does legacy mean anything anymore? Like, I just wonder, will guys be looking back in a few years thinking, like, you know what? I would have been better off being like a DeCarrion Joyner. Joyner may not have the most earth-shattering stat sheet of all time. But dude, 10 years from now, DeCarrion Joyner will forever be remembered as a legend for things far beyond statistics. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's maybe a corny thing to talk about. It doesn't matter to a lot of guys, but that's just kind of where I find myself. And like you said, it's just such a shame. It feels like a shame. It really does. But that's just coming from the fan perspective, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts, and like they tell everybody, it's a 40-year decision. It's not a 4-year decision; it's a 40-year decision, and you're always remembered. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney spoke to that before the opener when they retired his number. He was just like, "Wow, I love playing here. This was great. I mean, what a great testimonial." And I think nowadays sometimes that kind of goes out the window a little bit. And there's always kind of been this stigma around South Carolina, even before NIL, that, oh, well, they don't take as good a care of their players as, maybe some other schools. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And that's kind of a pile of crap, to be honest. There was a time, I mean, and I'm not talking about anything illegal. There was a time maybe South Carolina with facilities, academic support, that kind of thing were lagging. That was 20 years ago. South Carolina does take care of its players, and it is a very good place to go to school and a very good place to play football. And people are beloved not only by, Columbia, but the entire state, because there are a lot of Clemson fans in our state, but there's more Gamecocks, right? And that is a sacrifice, I think, that in-state kids that make this decision, especially in particular, that's a sacrifice that they're going to have to make. I mean, and I think too, you sit there and it is disappointing because he was turning the corner, like you said, and he did have a much better year than last year, and you could see the light sort of coming on, especially in the bowl game and down the stretch of some of the plays he made. And you're going to give the chance to shine at a place where you're beloved, and risking all of that, which I think has a lot more to do with long-term security and things of that nature than maybe going, down the road across the country, wherever you want to go, with an NIL deal or whatever, and seeing the world right now, because, this isn't summer vacation. This is your life. And I believe everybody has the choice to live their life how they see fit. But, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Number one, maybe there's some hometown pressure you're trying to get away from. Marcus Lattimore spoke to that. Marcus Lattimore ironically lives in Oregon now. Now before anybody runs with it, Marcus Lattimore don't like anything to do with this, but so there's that part of it. But you also do run the risk. What if you go out there and get hurt? What if you go out there and that's it? And, you got to kind of come home, and you're not. I think with the transfer portal, and especially with situations like Jordan Burch, in-state kid going to quote unquote greener pastures, or just wanting to get away or whatever. It's getting late in your career, and you run the risk if something bad happens, and if you're hurt or injured, or you don't quite play that well, you don't get drafted, you name it, man. What do you have to fall back on? And all that. But hey, maybe times are changing, Chris, and maybe that's just no longer important with the world we live in. But that's what could potentially be unfortunate about it. But at the same time, heck, I like the Ducks. I hope Jordan Burch, if that's indeed where he ends up, go out there and shine. And you wish you all the best. But as far as him, ever seeing his name up on the stadium in his hometown, or as far as him ever maybe being in the Hall of Fame or anything like that in South Carolina, it'll never ever happen. And it probably will never happen at Oregon either, based on like 1 year's body of work. So, those are the kinds of things that you take off the table when you make those decisions. And that's not sour grapes, man. That's life. I'd tell a kid that was, leaving Maryland. He was from Maryland, D.C., leaving Maryland to come play his senior year at South Carolina. If he asked me my personal opinion, I'd probably tell him the same thing. It's like, you can, as Thomas will say, you can't always go home, or you can't go home. You can never go home. I think you can go home. And I think in many ways in my life, I'm living proof of that. So I think that, it's okay to shoot your shot early, way, way, way early, but you better make it, because you run the risk of leaving a lot on the table that you would have otherwise had. How about that?
Yeah, JC, I would say to your point, it's not sour grapes, but big boy decisions have big boy consequences. And, people are going to have their opinions and thoughts on things. It's not sour grapes at all. It's just calling it for what it is and being realistic. And again, if guys are able to get big boy bags, again, you're going to feel big boy backlash when decisions like that are made. It's the reality of it. Let's move off, JC, the Jordan Burch thing. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells, obviously the conversation, that is the hot topic right now. What will those guys do? Will they return? Will they depart for the NFL draft? The latest on what you're hearing, it sounded like from what I had heard earlier in the week, maybe Spencer Rattler's draft grade was a little bit better than we all expected, and it sounded like he might go ahead and depart and make that jump. After chatting with you and some others, it sounds like maybe there's some things behind the scenes in the works with NIL. But the bottom line is this: none of us really know 100% what those guys are going to do. But just the latest thoughts on Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells, which way you think that's trending in regards to what their future plans are.
I'd say both are up in the air. You hear different things. I think there are a lot of folks, and I've said this about Spencer Rattler for a while. I think, and one of the things I appreciate and respect about him is, he makes decisions with his inner circle. I think he's got a lot of people that care about him that will not lead him astray, right? People can say what they want about, whatever happened in Oklahoma or that's the reality show or whatever, but Spencer Rattler's got a really good head on his shoulders. So if it's the best decision for him to turn pro, you better believe that's been researched, that's been documented, and that's what they honestly feel like will happen. Otherwise, I think he's going to come back to South Carolina. He's got a lot of people that are around him that have been very open about it. That's a great option for him. And certainly, I think if you look back at his season this year, if you continue to kind of play, and look, a lot of that was the offense, right? Let's be honest. When they opened it up, he played pretty well for the most part. And, you come back next year with that same style of attack and it's the same freedom he was playing with. Boy, he could end up being, top 15 pick. As it stands now, it's probably around 4 to 7. I think NIL wise, Spencer Rattler's doing fine, and he's really he's got a really good agent. I'll say that with NIL, and he's also a very good entrepreneurial type of guy. He has his gear and he gets out there and promotes things, and he's good on camera, things like that. So I think money wise, he's fine. I just think that it's a matter of what the opportunity is at the next level. With Juice Wells, it's kind of going back and forth. Had you asked me a month ago, I'd have said probably, he of all of the guys, I think he'd probably be the one that was coming back. Right now, I think it's still possible, quite possible. But it may be that if they lose one, they lose both. If they lose Rattler, they lose Wells. If not, Rattler, will come back. Although I don't feel as strongly about that as I once did. But those are the keys to next season. I think the other guys, you're looking at, you got to go replace these pieces, go reload, get ready for next year. And like you said earlier today, I think it's the difference between looking at maybe like a fringe bowl type of situation, or maybe a team that can contend in the SEC East. So that's how important those two are. I think, because you just can't go out and find a guy with that kind of arm talent and experience to play at the most important position on the field. And honestly, I think it's hard to find a guy like Juice, because I think Juice has been almost quietly one of the best receivers to play at South Carolina. So those are still the top two. I think you needed to get back, regardless of who else is left, and that's certainly still in play. But I don't want to sit here and to quote Top Gun, blow sunshine up y'all's butt, Lieutenant. I'm not gonna sit here and guarantee it, because like I said, things are crazy. Everybody's kind of reflecting on themselves and their value and all that right now. And welcome to college football's off season. It used to be right now, Chris, it was a dead period in recruiting, so that was quiet. You had very few transfers, and everybody literally is drinking beer at the coaches convention in San Antonio or Orlando or Nashville or wherever they had it. And you're kind of keeping your ear open for assistant coaching changes. Now it's like, well, there's a chance the roster could be half intact tomorrow, and so it does get interesting.
So I guess from the content perspective, though, we have a lot of reasons to be thankful this time of year, because, like you mentioned, outside of this, we just be talking basketball, but now it's it really feels like the NBA offseason. That's what it feels like. It's just like breaking news literally every 20 minutes. It's wild.
Spencer Rattler going to go to the YMCA and then enter the portal and go to Miami or so. I don't know. That'd be funny. So.
It's wild. JC, on that note, though, it's funny how we have not even mentioned it.
Please tell me that. I got you now. I got you.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, on that note, JC, it's kind of funny how we, ironically enough, have not even talked about the Gator Bowl. But I got one last thing on the portal, and many fans have been wanting me to ask you this, because Marshawn Lloyd has not signed anywhere. And he was rated by Fox Sports, I believe it was, as like the third best available player overall in the transfer portal. And I think somebody had told me you had this conversation either yesterday or a couple of days ago. You had this conversation with someone on your show. Marshawn Lloyd, do you think there's any way, any path that he could possibly make amends with Shane Beamer, South Carolina, and be on the Gamecocks roster in 2023?
I think it's really unlikely based on a couple of conversations I've had. I think it would take, in any situation like this, Chris, egos are involved. And I think, I don't really know what drove Marshawn Lloyd to leave. There's all kinds of theories out there, but, based on how the situation was handled, if you're Shane Beamer, you've got a program to run, and you got to worry about the players that are there and the players that you need to go get, and you need to worry about winning games and protecting your culture. And, this is a different situation than Burch or Bell. And that's what people have to understand. All these situations are very different. This was sort of one of those where, I'm staying. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're gone. And then there's no communication. So is that a guy that really wants to leave? I don't know. Sounds like the guy that, feels guilty about leaving his, wife and kids to go off with his girlfriend, and just one day packs up and takes off, I had a friend that did that. He's not my friend anymore. But, those people are cowards. And look, I'm not calling – my dog doesn't like that either. I'm not calling Marshawn Lloyd a coward. Okay, he's a kid, right? But the way that was handled, that's just not the type of behavior without a lot of amends being made. And, I don't know how much, credibility he's built up, because there's some other things that, maybe we're not taking into consideration here with him. Where a ton of amends would have to be made, not from South Carolina's end of things. They didn't do anything wrong. And that situation probably was not a whole lot about NIL. It was just, I think it was and it wasn't. How about that in terms of like things being on the table? Because he may play. I mean, I've got one of his Uno butterfly sweatshirts, man. Everybody bought one, right? Glad he didn't try to sell it the day he left. But so I think just knowing what I know about that, Chris, it would take a lot of apology, amends making, that kind of thing, for Shane Beamer to even consider it. That's not to say he wouldn't, but it kind of would just kind of depend on what happened up to that point and sort of the explanation why. Because I don't think you want to get into a situation where, if one guy wants to leave and go to the portal, like, all right, go, you're not playing in the bowl, bye, get out. And then another guy goes into the portal, but he's a starting running back and was pretty good for 5 games, so we'll give him another chance. I think you have to. I think it almost has to maybe even be up to the whole team to let him back on and do a situation like that if you're Shane Beamer. But I think it's highly unlikely that takes place. It is kind of funny. He hasn't signed anywhere. I think it's very interesting. I think he probably overestimated his value a little bit out there. But, I understand why people are thinking about it. And look, if for some reason it worked out, great, but I think they would just take a lot that would be very, let's say, rare in today's college football world.
JC, let's talk about football on the field really quickly. Your thoughts on the Gator Bowl? I know that obviously happened last week, but a really tough, hard-fought game, 45-38. I thought South Carolina obviously just ran out of gas in that second half, defensively especially, and kind of stalling out, if you, on offense for a little bit of a period there really hurt them. But just overall thoughts in the game. I thought objectively, JC, it was a great college football game, and I think Notre Dame maybe showed they had a little bit more depth than South Carolina in a game that was heavily, heavily impacted by opt-outs and transfer portal and what have you. But, I don't think a loss by any means that in any way derails anything, any positive momentum you have. It was just a great college football game, and unfortunately one that, South Carolina was on the wrong side of. Your just overall thoughts on that game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I want to tell people now too, because I think the tendency when you talk about opt-outs and then transfer portal and declaring for the draft and all that, I think people tend to lump those things together. You want to thank somebody. Really, we get a larger discussion on who to thank for all of this, and it's probably the same 6 or 7 media members that wanted to fundamentally change the game and continuously talked about how meaningless the bowls were and all this other crap, and they're going to get hurt, and then one guy did it. I think Leonard Fournette, and they didn't like he was a hero, right? Oh, he's a hero, and these games are meaningless. And so now it's the trendy thing to do, and fine, whatever. Opt-outs happen none happen in Alabama, but opt-outs happen at lots of places, right? That aren't teams that aren't going to the playoff. So that's one thing. I do think the game was impacted by it, just really from a depth perspective. I didn't think South Carolina had a lot of problems matching up. But I think the second half, 2 things happened. I think they got worn down. And then number 2, their offense got one-dimensional because when Nate Atkins went out, it got really, really difficult to run the ball. I think South Carolina realized they're not going to be able to run it all that much. And so it's just pass. That makes you predictable. Spencer gets off track. I still thought it was a gutsy performance hanging in until the end. The Gamecocks have nothing to be ashamed of. I was going to go, and I hate that I missed it because of my health issue, but I did get a chance to watch it around some half the bar was Notre Dame, hardcore. Half the bar was I hate Notre Dame. No Gamecocks, just me. But hate Notre Dame or love Notre Dame. And there's an old Irish guy, and I should have known, Chris, Carolina wasn't going to win. This old Irish guy named Jerry, I think he came over from actual Ireland. He has a concrete company. I'm kind of scared of him, honestly. I think he'd probably have me assassinated if he wanted to. And I didn't expect him to come to the game because he was like, I don't care about the bowl game a couple of weeks ago. Sure enough, he walks in 10 minutes before kickoff. He sits down. Carolina's up 24-10. I walk outside to because I want to be nice to him. Hey, Jerry, tough sled so far, guys. Y'all hang in there. He looks up from his beer, Heineken in the bottle, and he goes, This game is not over. And I should have known then. He had the hat on with the leprechaun on it. I should have known then, man. I've seen The Departed, okay? I know what's going on. I'm scared to death. I'm like, oh, okay, buddy. I should have known then that there were some leprechauns that would help out Notre Dame, and they'd end up winning. It's just like, Jerry, this game is not over. I was like, oh man. So that was my experience watching it. And then I kind of showed my butt and, threw a straw across the bar after Notre Dame's driving and got that last first down before the 100-yard pick six. I was like, let's go. I was like, get up and let's go. As people do. And I wasn't proud of that. I walked outside, and then all of a sudden I hear some rumbling. I was like, well, Notre Dame scored. And my fiance watched this. She's like, South Carolina's got a 100-yard pick six. I was like, what? So I missed that. And so I walked back in. I'm like, all right, guys. All right. So, so that was my experience watching the game, which I think, although I hated not being there, that was probably a pretty good consolation prize just because of all the little side stories and stuff.
Let it be known, JC Sherbert has a fantastic Irish accent. That was incredible. I will say. Love that.
Awesome.
Love that.
Yeah, but I think you hate to lose it. It would have been big to win it, but I don't think the program is going to fall apart because it kind of reminded me of Spurrier's first bowl game, Chris, to be honest, against Missouri out in Shreveport. Yeah. That was kind of a similar thing. Carolina wasn't up quite as big against Notre Dame as they were against Mizzou, but it's just one of those things, one of those momentum shift type games. Credit Notre Dame. I mean, I watched a lot of Notre Dame football this year, man, and I'll say this about those guys. They have some ugly losses, but when we talked about, I guess, entitlement on our show earlier, they're Notre Dame, but they're not entitled. Those guys fight, and they got Sam Hartman coming in next year as quarterback from Wake Forest. So I think the future's bright here, the immediate future in South Bend.
Yeah, JC, appreciate you taking the time. Last thing before I get you out of here, of course, we have not spoken since signing day. I would love to get your just brief thoughts on the class that Shane Beamer and company have put together to this point. I don't think any really big surprises, if you will, a couple of pickups. Really, I think it was the day before signing day from the transfer portal and what have you. And then also, of course, everyone wants to know the latest on Nick Harbor. His decision is upcoming within the next month, I guess, or so. Just on the recruiting side of things, what are you hearing, especially when it comes to Nicholas Harbor?
Yeah, I think South Carolina's still in really good shape for him. It's going to be interesting to see because Michigan's been up there the whole time too. If Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL, what happens there? What does his interest sort of fade, or is it more about like the university and the program and all that? And I know he's a kid that is not just going to make a decision based on the helmet, right? So that's going to be interesting. I think South Carolina's right there. I think as far as signing day goes, Chris. And it's a shame. The first signing day I've really missed in 20 years, like in my career. I hated it because I was in the hospital, unfortunately. But South Carolina, it was one of the best ones I can remember because, there's some guys wavering. There's some people worried about this, that, and the other. Big Tree, that situation. They got everybody back, and they ended up signing everybody. They didn't lose anybody. There was no Jayshon Barham situation like there was last year or anything like that. So, a nice and smooth signing day. This is a fantastic recruiting class. Just with the high school guys. I mean, I thought one of the keys to this recruiting cycle was, South Carolina needs to continue to increase signing blue chip 4 or 5-star high school players, doing well in the portal, doing well, developing the guys you got, winning games. But those guys, those 4 and 5-star guys that you recruit out of the, are still very important these days, even with the transfer portal. And they signed like 14 of them. So, I mean, and got 3 or 4 from Georgia, 3 from Florida, 2 from Maryland. I mean, that it wasn't just South Carolina kids. They got 2 really good defensive ends. The offensive line class on paper is one of the best I've seen in South Carolina history, but it's on paper, so we'll have to see. But, to have come into the cycle starting out and going, we're going to focus on lines of scrimmage. I think all in all, the overall class ended up being fantastic. Lenora Sellers, of course, the quarterback from South Florence, icing on the cake, and an expected surprise there at the end, but 2 weeks before, maybe an unexpected one.
JC Sherbert inside the Gamecocks. JC, I want to say thank you again so much for your time. I'm so excited to have you on each and every single Thursday yet again as we enter 2023, and looking forward to many more fun conversations with you, my friend. Take care. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, Chris. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely. JC Sherbert of Inside the Gamecocks. Great stuff of the Big Spur. Be sure to check him out, guys. We've hit 2 o'clock. Appreciate you all tuning in. Be sure you check out the podcast that dropped this morning. The latest on Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells, which, of course, was just updated by JC Sherbert. We talked basketball as well. Everything that happened on Tuesday night against Vanderbilt, this upcoming weekend, the game against Tennessee. I lock in my prediction, all that good stuff. And, yeah, outside of that, this podcast, the audio version of this, will drop at 3 o'clock on our podcast feed, and we'll be live once again tomorrow, of course, noon to 2. You guys already know the drill. Hey, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your Thursday. Oh, by the way, Madison, yes, great point. South Carolina women take on Auburn tonight. So go Cox, go Dawn Staley. Expecting a big W yet again. Again, guys, thank y'all so much. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks so much to JC Sherbert as well for taking the time. Y'all have a great rest of your Thursday. We will talk to you all